Oh, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Woke up and I'm hungry. It's 4:30 now. Anyway, I'm gonna go make me something to breakfast. But I was seeing a disturbing thing on the internet where these policemen had this guy, and they were like, oh, he's bipolar, and so they shoot him up with Rimadyl. Rimadyl, the worst thing about Rimadyl is usually for people that are schizoid. Bipolar doesn't mean you're schizoid. Bipolar could mean that you had a post-trauma, either from like being in war or rape or getting beat, or it could be, and then from that post-trauma you could have depression. So you could have like say you have post-trauma, let's say from a war. And then and maybe you're depressed over the fact that you lost so many people. You're actually in mourning. So it's a process. So Rimadyl, what it does though is it stops your thinking, part of it. All this sort of works on your frontal lobe, and Rimadyl and Seroquel could cause. Rimadyl can cause your mouth not to move. You see those people that walk down the street talking to themselves. That's Rimadyl, because and if you aren't schizoid, you have uncontrollable mouth movement and other problems. So it's a medicine. If you do give somebody, they should actually be in a mental institution to regulate their meds. Because you could do irreversible damage. So if they weren't crazy, they are crazy. Seroquel, it goes in the front level. I've seen like a lot of big tumors that develop on the side of your face and in your groin. Some people think anything can come unchecked if you have a low. Anyway. So a lot of these medicines, especially during the 80s, when they were pushing them, saying, don't stop your meds, they weren't on their meds. It's because if you don't taper off, say you're taking Rimadyl, you don't take it off, you don't taper off, you just stop, totally. Then you could have that's when you could have either way you could have uncontrollable lip movement. You have all these side effects. So that's why they say, oh, he stopped his meds. It's because he didn't get tapered off. Doctor has to taper you off. Because, anyway, so, and then if you're a Quaaludes or something, like that, most people I knew that was taking that end up ODing on it. So, but in the 80s and the 90s, the pharmaceuticals was making a lot of money. I know people that was perfect, because everybody has some form of emotional stress that they had in their lives that could cause them to have what some people might see as either a mental breakdown or they sad at the moment. But everybody has something because we are human. We all have a mixture of this. It's just how much everybody has experience to where that feeling of paranoid, because you go to business and there's cameras all over the place. You feel like you're being watched, and you come out of a situation like jail. Even the schools, I know it's all the cameras. You can carry that feeling around. For some people, it could be more profound. Maybe their parents have cameras at the house too, and is always watching them and dropping off hints of little stuff they see, which when people do that, it comes off as a threat and sort of a trauma. So it makes people. The response you might get is probably more of a one where they distrust it, and after a while they just really just have a taste for that person. They don't care and for that person, and it doesn't have any empathy. If they did have empathy before for that particular person, or if they were a very kind person, but that particular person that's watching them and dropping hints, and it comes off as a threat, like they're a predator, and it'll be easier for the person that they're watching and harassing to cause them bodily harm, if that person just acts like they're going to hurt the person. You know what I mean? Like say it's me, and like I just came out of a public school getting watched, then I was in juvenile, with the cameras getting watched. And I come home, and let's just say, for example, mom wants Comcast and watch you at home, and they're all hinting, oh yeah, I saw, that's horrible you do that, because they can't help themselves. And then the child is not really probably getting to sit down and having a conversation, being able to vent, because a lot of times, like, they start venting, they're like, oh, okay, they're out of order, they're all excited, let's give them some shots. So they don't get to vent, they don't get to mourn, and they get harassed and bullied about, like if they're in juvenile, the police see them, and then you have, and like they have to give them hints, sexual abuse, and all this stuff. So anyway, basically, what could happen is, well, anyway, with this guy with the ribbon, he ended up dying, because they're making a lot of these medicines, like a lot of problems that we have over the Middle East, like Turkey, Afghanistan, even in places in South America like Colombia and etc. The pharmaceuticals people are in those places, and to make money, and they made millions of dollars, especially in the 80s and 90s, and a lot of doctors went on a big vacations. And now here in 2015, the doctors have another big thing. They get they have big student loans, but because of the more damage that they do, a lot of them you can end up probably have to get reinstated in that state. Your license to practice sometimes you could be in jeopardy of losing it. It just depends, because a lot of people get greedy because of the situation that we're in. So, but for police to pass out shots like that and cause, doctors really can't do it, because like they, and they're really breaking down on the doctors now for doing that, because you're not supposed to cause more harm than you cause good. You can look at the VA hospital, everybody I know that's going to VA hospital has and going along with their care, for some reason they're not doing good. Matter of fact, they're dead. A few people, because like my Uncle Willie, he was in the Virginia base. He had been a Navy engineer, a nuclear Navy engineer, something like that. But he ended up getting cancer in the brain, and he ended up in Virginia Beach in hospital, and like all the rest of them, that was like and he came in when he got drafted, like at 18. I guess he actually lied and left when he was 17. But anyway, and was military right after he retires, rather, he dead. So, and they didn't kill none of our all my mom's brothers. They was in Vietnam, Korea, I don't know, all the wars. They all came back, and they came back to really to live. Their payment for being patriotic was to have a horrible. They came back to a horrible racist, double-minded hypocrites that just was bringing other white people in, like especially like with Vietnam, they brought Vietnamese and then World War II, they brought a bunch of people from Europe, World War II. And each time it out some other jobs and out some other community. And it's always like they'll say, like like this community, they really had wanted to get rid of a lot more of the blacks or whatever, except for the simple fact that they're not giving us our alternative to go somewhere except for the jail. Or in my case, like I'd be more than happy at a time like this, if I feel like I'm not wanted in the United States. I felt that way since like New Orleans and Katrina, And I had felt that way before, but really, it's finances and the situation. I probably would already, if I had bigger finances and stuff, if I was in a better position, if I wasn't so poor, I'd probably made a bunch of racist people very, very happy and left this bitch. Because this is a big world, and this is not the I mean, the way capitalism is they're making it miserable for everybody, with war everywhere in Africa and here. We're supposed to worry about terrorists. So, so it's hard pressed to think that, there is a better place. Except for like in the Middle East, they're looking over here. They're just jealous because we don't have a war zone over here. I'm gonna wash my hair. So I told you anyway. So my point is that the pharmaceuticals is making big money off of ignorant, racist police, and it is causing a health epidemic in our community that it shouldn't even happen with such a modern day society, except for instead of the police are too happy to cause the deterioration of the citizens, either through their police actions or them not staying in their lane and not knowing their place. Their place is not to be doctors. If you didn't go 8 years to school and you just read like a little article or you got some secondhand fucking information, because unless you don't kept up on the different medical journals and the different test results they're having and the different trial testing they're doing, or you look at under the microscope your damn self at different stuff, different body fluids that are coming out of human, your diagnosis is that of a murderer, if you know it or not, or because either it's anyway. I see them come out of jail. By the time they come out of jail with that cold cereal and that milk and whatever else is, they all 80 pounds overweight, and since like big asses and stuff, they're all like, look at my big asses. They're coming out with, not tuberculosis as much as HIV, and gonorrhea and still syphilis. So, and why would you even want? If you're a jailer and you have sex with these people, and you probably deserve the problem you have. But let me just reiterate. Let me repeat what I said earlier. Rather, everybody has experienced some type of emotional or physical, or either be a deaf, either it's they're too fat, too skinny. Your parents are working a lot of hours, so you don't see them as much. You get bullied in school. Everybody has some type of trauma or some type of situation in their life that have molded them to be that way. And just knowing like bipolar and not understanding there could be two things. It could be two things. It could not be anything that anybody has medicine for. Like if you have a death, right? Somebody dies, you're mourning, right? And before the mourning, let's say you were going to mourn, you don't like heights. You just don't like, you're not going up. You live on a ranch house. You don't what I'm saying, you don't like to go. You don't like high places. You don't like to fly, and you just don't like to hang out on terraces. You're not climbing a tree. You're not climbing Mount Everest. You're not doing any of that. Is there a pill that you need for that? Sure, there are some doctors that give you a pill for any damn thing, and then they'll say that a distant friend of yours passed away and you're feeling sad. So that day, that day you feel a little sad, you feel a little depressed. Everybody goes through sad days and have a happy days. You know, there's rain and sunshine. You know what I'm saying? But if you are a policeman and you think that you got as much knowledge on the human behavior or the human anatomy than someone that's did 8 years and intern, that I don't even know why we bother with schools.